Hey everyone, it's Gary Enerson here. How y'all doing? I hope you had a good week. Trying a little something different today. I'm sitting in a hotel room in St. Louis right now, and it's about a little before 8 o'clock at night, and I had a little extra time, so I kind of have this thing that I do where I draw a sketch card and leave it at the hotel room whenever I travel out of town. I'll be doing the same next week in Las Vegas, the week after that in Tucson and Phoenix. But tonight, it's St. Louis. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quick draw a sketch card. I'm going to film it. And because I usually leave a sketch card of a Stormtrooper, I'm going to talk a little bit about my feelings on The Force Awakens. Now, this is going to have a lot of spoilers in it. So if you're interested, please feel free to keep watching. But like I said, there's going to be some spoilers ahead. And I figured I would do this. Was kind of sitting around, and I did this last night. Ooh. And I know, scary, right? I don't know if you can see that. There's a lot of light going on here. Weird. Anyway, I figured that I would draw the sketch card of the Stormtrooper here and leave it in the hotel room, as I always do. Now, why do I do that? I don't know. Why not? It's a quick little thing that I do, and I figure I'll leave it somewhere. And if somebody finds it, hey, it's theirs. You know, it's a few minutes out of my day, and like I said, you'll get a The Force Awakens review out of it. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do this. Hey everyone, it's Gary here. First things first, I had to re-record the audio because the microphone that I was using was kind of crappy and the audio kind of was very wonky on the day. So as opposed to exposing all of you to that, I'm just going to re-record this at my house. But this is the footage that I took from St. Louis. So again, I apologize for that, but I guess here we go into the review. I talked a little bit about my thoughts in the last episode that was only mildly spoiler filled. I don't want to repeat a bunch of stuff, but go back and watch that video real quick and you'll see kind of the introduction into my thoughts on The Force Awakens. But and then come back and watch this. And like I said, this is going to be full of spoilers. So everybody just be ready. Here we go. So the first time I saw The Force Awakens, I've seen it twice, and I've listened to the audiobook. And the way the sequence worked was I watched the movie once, and I kind of went into it very dubious. The prequels kind of made me very cautiously optimistic once the trailers came out. And I sort of went into this film with excitement, but at the same time, I didn't want to let myself get let down, you know, so to speak. And on the first viewing, I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of prerequisites that I had for the film. I sort of had this list of prerequisites in my head about what would make this film good. And they were basically that the actors had to feel natural and believable, and the characters had to be engaging. And I think the film really did do that quite well. I thought that Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and Adam Driver did great jobs, and there were a lot of the other actors. I don't think there was a wasted character in this movie. I thought everybody did a fantastic job. It did not feel cardboard. It did not feel, if that makes any sense. It didn't feel stale. Even Harrison Ford didn't phone it in. I mean, I actually enjoyed everybody's performance in this film. The next prerequisite was that the dialogue had to be. It had to feel natural. It wasn't. It didn't need to be the crappy dialogue from the prequels, and I thought the dialogue was great. The interaction between the characters felt real and again felt natural, and not not stiff at all. It was just. It was really good, so I was very happy with that, and the overall plot had to be engaging as well. And this is where I thought initially the film sort of fell short because, as I said in the last video, there's basically a giant Death Star in this movie. Starkiller Base. It's another damn Death Star, and I was a little disappointed. I have to be honest, and because it happened in Star Wars: A New Hope. It came back in Jedi, and now they're doing it again. And when I walked out of the film, I didn't know what to think. And so I listened to the audiobook. There were a few clunky scenes too, I thought. The scene where Rey sort of Jedi mind tricks the Stormtrooper, I thought was a little abrupt. All of a sudden, she knew how to use the Force and this and that. And I was kind of one of those that, before it became cool to call her a Mary Sue character or a character that was never in danger to begin with or whatever. I kind of thought that. I thought she seemed to know a lot of stuff that, she shouldn't have known. I was a little put off about it. But then a couple of days later, I listened to the audiobook. And as I said before, the audiobook had some extra scenes in it. And, with the book, you can kind of get inside the characters' heads and all that. And there were a lot of things in the book that really sort of explained stuff that happened in the movie, and, naysayers are going to say, hey, look, you need to project that in the movie and not in the book. And that doesn't always happen. But I really got a better grip and a better understanding of why things happened the way they did. So I went back and saw the movie again, and I realized the second time around that I really, truly, honestly liked the movie. Everything made sense. Putting it in the context of the book, everything really kind of flowed a lot better. And I found that the Starkiller base did not bother me the second time around, mostly because it wasn't the thing that the Resistance was setting out to defeat. The MacGuffin of the film, if you will, the thing that everybody was looking for was Luke Skywalker, not this third Death Star. Starkiller base just happened to be there. So it kind of made sense to me in looking at the plot that I think the writers needed something to pose a threat and make the First Order, give the First Order something to let themselves be known to the universe, and it had to be another Death Star. Personally, I would have preferred, maybe a fleet of ships that was, 100 times bigger than what the Resistance had expected. Maybe at the end of the film, somebody could have called in all these ships and, maybe not so much defeated the Resistance, but maybe set them back a bit. So you'd have a cliffhanger right into the second film. But, I understand the writers didn't want it like that. I may put out a video or something like that, kind of explaining where I thought the movie should have gone. But in essence, what I thought is that Starkiller Base should have been like a base. Like, the Resistance was looking for the First Order. They knew of their existence, but they couldn't find their secret base. So when Finn escapes and introduces himself to Rey, and they eventually get to the Resistance, Finn can give everybody the location of the secret base. It doesn't have a big gun on it. It's just a base of operations for everybody. And then the Resistance could fly in, start shooting up the base and everything. And at one point, Snoke, and I'm assuming everybody's watched the film at this point, so I'm just going to throw things out there without describing a lot of stuff, characters and that. Snoke could have basically told General Hux to call in the rest of the fleet. And right before the base is destroyed, like all these ships just come out of hyperspace and basically start blasting at the Resistance, and kind of giving everybody that oh crap moment. Like, we they were bigger than we thought. They're more of a danger than we anticipated. Now where would these fleet, where would the fleet have come from? Well, other secret bases that nobody knew about, not even Finn. I think that could have worked a lot better than, having a big gun and, a big floating orb in the sky with a gun. But, in the end, I understand that, oh, and it could have ended with the Resistance basically flying away, escaping, and regrouping. Everything else could have played out like it did. There could have been the big lightsaber duel at the end. Rey could have, defeated Kylo Ren in that. And then, everybody realizing that the First Order is bigger than they thought, they would retreat and then say, we have to find Luke Skywalker now. So when Rey goes to find Luke Skywalker, and there's that scene at the end where Luke turns around and looks at Rey, there could have been this whole moment of, they could have kept that moment in there as well. It would have taken on a whole new dynamic, I think. But you know, I don't know, but I understand in the overall plot of the film that they needed to have the Star Killer base. So I found, like I said, the second time around, I did not mind it as much. So I guess I'll give, I don't write Hollywood scripts, obviously. And I also understand that my idea would have meant that, in the first of the three films, that the Empire would have won, or the First Order would have won. The bad guys would have won. And you don't start out a first film like that, apparently. So, I understand that there are flaws with my ideas in that, but I just think something other than a Star Killer base would have been cool. But so be it. A little bit about the characters. I love, again, I mentioned the four characters: Rey, Finn, Poe, and Kylo Ren. Rey had a very childlike look about her, which I thought was very cool and very endearing. As far as her story arc, I'll get to that in a little bit, but I thought Finn was awesome. He I was invested in his character. I was really hoping that, he would be all right. So at the end, when he gets wounded, there was a moment of, is he dead? I know that when they take him off on the gurney, they mention they have a heartbeat, but I was truly concerned. Poe, I really like him. His first line in the movie was awesome when he was talking to Kylo Ren. It's not his first line, I should say. It was his first encounter with Kylo Ren was just awesome. It just completely introduced his character, and I really like that. And Kylo Ren, I could go on a whole video discussion about this guy. Adam Driver did an outstanding job. I think that the fact that Kylo Ren was a spoiled teenager is awesome. I'll put it out there for the record. I don't care. I really like the path that they took with his character. He is somebody who is being tempted by the light side of the Force, and we don't see that, in a lot of the other characters. He's very impatient, and he's basically all but tipped over to the dark side, but there's something that's calling him back. And of course, we know at the end it's the fact that he needs to do to kill his father, to kill Han Solo. And he also has a mask, but he doesn't have any scarring on his face. His character to me seems like the inverse of Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker to a degree. He starts out evil, teetering on good, and he starts out, unscarred, but eventually gets scarred. But I think the reason that he has the mask, I know a lot of people have, kind of called him out on that. The reason he has a mask is because I think he idolizes Darth Vader. He idolizes his grandfather, and he knows that it's a tool of intimidation. I really think that he had a reason for that, and I can appreciate that. And now, obviously, he needs it because of the scar on his face at the end. So I really don't have a problem with the characters. So that's what I have to say about that. I could go off a whole video with him, and maybe I'll do that one of these days. But I really like the direction that the characters were taken. I think Han Solo and Chewbacca, there was a dynamic there between the two that mirrored a lot of what happened in the previous films, but it was an endearing relationship that was shown between the two of them. I did tear up. I will admit, I did tear up when Han Solo was killed and Chewbacca roared like crazy, a roar you've never heard it before. And I felt that the first time I saw it. I actually felt it, and even the second time I saw it, and it moved me emotionally. I mean, not just because I'm a Star Wars fan, and have been for a long time, but it really moved me. And so there it is. Yeah, I teared up. Go ahead, leave a comment below. Tell me what a pansy I am. But yeah, I teared up, and I think there was just a great dynamic between those two characters that we hadn't seen in any of the other films, and I really appreciated the companionship between the two. Now, as far as one of the things that a lot of people are complaining about, and I'm talking about the, things like C-3PO's red arm and how Maz Kanata got a hold of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, and especially how is Rey able to use the Force so well. I really believe, and again, like I did in the last episode of Gary E's Sketch Cards, I would encourage you to either read the book, listen to the audiobook, however you do it, and also look at the Force Awakens visual dictionary. There are paragraphs in there that kind of give backstory and things like that. There's also, like I said, a few variations in the book, a few hints in the book that sort of speak to a few things. But also, I really do think that when episode 9 comes out, and I'm pausing it here because I think my audio is going to go over. um, the point is that everybody that's complaining about a lot of the unanswered questions and is just crying and moaning again about Rey and about the lightsaber and stuff like that, I really think that when episode 9 comes out, and this is my point, all our questions will be answered. In 4 years after we've watched episode 9, we'll all come back home. We'll go to our Blu-ray players or, our computers or whatever, and we'll watch The Force Awakens again. And I really think that everything will make sense. I'm really hoping that the writers don't leave us hanging on a few of these things, but I have my theories about who everybody is. Obviously I have theories about Rey. I think she has been, and I'll just go into it here a little bit. I think she has, she was a Padawan. She was a young Jedi trainee, and she trained for a couple of years. If you remember in the prequels, there were kids that were like 5 years old that were swinging working lightsabers around in front of Yoda. And she couldn't have been maybe like 7 or 8 or something like that in the flashback scene. So I'm thinking she had some experience with the Force, but I think for whatever reason, either Luke Skywalker blocked it out of her mind, or I don't remember a lot of what I did when I was 7 years old, other than well, no, that was before that was before Star Wars came out. I don't remember a lot when I was 7 years old, and so there's a lot of repressed stuff that maybe it all came back out. Case in point with the Stormtrooper Jedi mind trick scene. If you remember, right before that scene happened, Kylo Ren had gotten inside her mind, and she had pushed back and confronted him with, you think you're afraid you'll never be as good as Darth Vader. She was able to get into his mind, and in the book it explained that she made the leap that if she can get into somebody whose mind who is powerful with the Force, what about somebody who has no idea about the Force? So that's why she tried the Jedi mind trick. And in the context of the film, it didn't make sense, and I couldn't make that connection. I didn't make that leap. But in the book, it basically makes sense now. So, I guess my point is that there is a reason why everything played out the way it did. Whether it's to read the comic series that, explains C-3PO's red arm, which he doesn't have at the end of the film. If you look closely, you'll see he's waving goodbye to the Falcon when Rey and Chewie leave to find Luke Skywalker, and he has his golden arm instead of the red one. I think there's a reason that everything played out the way it did, and I really do hope that the writers don't leave us hanging on that. Again, the reason could be to buy the book, to watch the mini movie, to watch the TV show. I don't know, whatever, but I think there's a reason for everything on that. And I think, like I said, the point being that when episode 9 comes out and we've seen this new trilogy, and I think everything will make sense. And I think a few naysayers will even look back and say, you know what? Yeah, I guess it makes sense. But that's just me, and hopefully that'll happen. So anyway, that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for watching Gary E's Sketch Cards / my The Force Awakens review. I'm going to get it back to the live signal here in a second, but I just wanted to say thank you so much to everybody who has been watching the videos, everybody who's subscribed to my channel. I'm going to be having a giveaway pretty soon, so to celebrate 50 subscribers. So look out for details on that, and take care, and I will see you next week. Like this video, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on The Force Awakens. Let me know what you think about some of the points that were brought up in this video. Leave some comments below, and take care, and I will see you next week.